What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So we're going to keep up with some of the updates surrounding Gotham Knights, and honestly, there really isn't much. In fact, this video is going to be more about the constraints of the marketing so far for this game, but let's go ahead and just shed some light on what's been going on. So in the past few days, with the Summer Games events going on, we've seen that the director and the producer for Gotham Knights, Jeff Eleanor and Fleur Marty, have been on a circuit doing these short interviews. Some of the briefs in a sense, and they did one with IGN and one with GameSpot. But the really important things about these two interviews are there's not necessarily any new details that they shared in both interviews. And the reason is because we've had a lot of time to read interviews, watch maybe presentations surrounding Gotham Knights, and even the developers have had a Q&A, which was actually much more, in a sense, very much deeper in a presentation of information than these interviews that have been done. So we pretty much know what their script is and exactly what it is that they're willing to reveal, say, and share in their interviews going henceforth. Unless they decide that they want to share new details, I don't think we've really seen a lot of them. And I think this begs the question, where is Robin? Because so far, he is the missing piece in showcasing all of the Gotham Knights. We've gotten to see Batgirl in action. Maybe they inadvertently did not necessarily want to show Batgirl, but they went ahead and did anyways at the 2020 gameplay reveal, which was fine. I think I enjoyed it myself, if you get what I mean. And then they've been able to show a few things regarding Nightwing and Red Hood. In fact, Nightwing has gotten a lot more spotlight in the past few days because after the Nightwing and Red Hood gameplay trailer, we got to see a Nightwing character trailer. And so right now, Robin, in my mind, is who I think the developers need to go ahead and showcase. And the interesting thing is, in their interviews, they were kind of asked, so who are you going to be showcasing next? And, I think Fleur Marty answered and said that they're not allowed to say yet. So that's quite interesting because I think at this stage, everybody knows that the expectation is Robin, but there is a possibility that we may be seeing Batgirl, we may be seeing Red Hood next, and maybe Robin might be last, or, whatever it is that they decide the sequence of. And I think here is, in my opinion, what I feel is happening. The marketing so far has felt very haphazard. Things fly out of nowhere at you. This so-called reveal trailer that was actually done for Nightwing, in my opinion, I felt was probably a reveal trailer that could have been done immediately after we saw the very first preview in 2020. They could have done that first showcase, then done the different character trailers because those don't involve too much. And then I think the sequence would have been to follow with the gameplay reveal of something like, say, Nightwing, Red Hood, and then do another one for Batgirl, Robin that's in the same capacity, same length, and then with the same kinds of description talking about mechanics, gameplay, moves, and all of the above. And I think the marketing team probably had something like that planned, or maybe they had another plan in place, but then the game got delayed. And I think what they're doing is probably just taking their old script and going with it. At this stage, this game should have required an overhaul of the marketing in a very different way. Because right now, these interviews to me just feel like getting the word out more than anything else. Because like I've said many times, the competition for Gotham Knights is really heavy. And I remember even when I first iterated this, a lot of people told me that I was crazy. And I know Gotham Knights fans, sometimes we get really passionate. Whenever I say anything that is not necessarily the most positive thing about Gotham Knights, I get hammered. Even though I'm like one of the most excited, people for this game, even though I'm still kind of cautious in my approach, I still try my best to make sure that I'm measured. I'm not trying to create any hype for anybody. You're the one that's going to make the decision whether you want to play Gotham Knights or not. And so seeing that and looking at the way many other games are coming out in that October window is starting to get real. The heat is now on. Those sales that Gotham Knights probably would have enjoyed in the holiday period are more than likely going to see some strain on it with the, Call of Duty game that's coming out, with the Marvel Midnight Suns that's coming out before Gotham Knights, and then look at the Resident Evil updates that are also coming out in the same window. You can already tell that right now the market analysis that may have been done for Gotham Knights in terms of potential sales and release window is more than likely changing because these release dates were not known when Gotham Knights was already revealed. So that's what's making things even interesting, because We're 4 months out, and all of these money takers, that's basically your Resident Evil extra content, Resident Evil extra updates that are even free, which will even take attention away from Gotham Knights, because they're just adding in Resident Evil, they're adding a third player option for, I think, one of the Resident Evil village storylines, and then they're adding a new DLC story mode as well, which is a third person view. And in my opinion, I think this is something that people are going to enjoy. Resident Evil fans are big. Capcom fans, in fact, have been said to be eating good this season. And so I think the marketing needs to tweak its playbook a little bit. And all of this so-called old school, we're trying to just reveal little by little, I don't know if it's really going to be sufficient for them to be able to get the word out and accomplish what I feel is a major impact in terms of their own particular video game. You see, the time delay that they actually put out in front, in my opinion, was the biggest issue overall, because they revealed the game in 2020 and promised that the game was going to be coming in 21. And even after fans had continued to pry and ask, they still were saying, oh yes, the game is going to be released in this year, 2021. All of a sudden, for them to delay the game almost an entire year. And so this has not necessarily bode well in terms of how this game is being seen in light of everything, because those delays were just too significant. And then for them to quietly, or maybe not quietly, cancel the PS4 and Xbox versions, I just think that everything has just been weighing against this game. Sometimes video games go through this. They go through a situation where everyone is doing the best that they can, but circumstances beyond control just continue to factor in. I think Gotham Knights is in that particular position. And other Arkham games, if we want to go by that, have also faced these kinds of challenges as well. I remember Arkham City, I was reading about it. It didn't get its PC release till about a month later. And then Arkham Knight, when it came out on PC, it was so buggy, they actually had to go back and rework it because its port was so bad and it was barely playable. And eventually they brought that back out. But these did not necessarily seem to have too much of an impact on those games because they already had their solid core. They sold well for the platforms that we were able to play on, which is the PS4 and the Xbox One. But then the PC version eventually, I think, must have caught up by now because, the game is just one of those really cool games where if you go back and look at it, it really does do a very good job, in terms of what a Batman game should be. And so with Gotham Knights, on the other hand, it's a bold new idea. Everything is a risk for this game. I kid you not. This is one of the riskiest game ideas I have ever seen. Even the Marvel Avengers game, I don't think is as risky as this particular game because, with the Marvel universe, a lot of other games have been made where, they kind of seem to follow that Avengers type setting, where you have a bunch of heroes, taking on bad guys and hordes and, having mission structures that are not necessarily the single player route. But in terms of the DC games, the Gotham Knights idea has been super risky, and I don't think anybody could have foreseen all of these challenges that this game has, faced on its own. So I think what this game is going to have to do and what its marketing crew is going to have to do is start to tweak the marketing philosophy a little bit. Warner Brothers have always had a way that they market their games in this cryptic way, but right now, I don't know if they're in a position to actually use that old playbook. I think with the competition of already established games, it makes a whole lot of sense that they actually make some modifications, that they provide more exposure, that they don't lag in these 4 months of marketing, that this marketing schematic that they want to use be a much more informational one where we're getting tidbits of new things every time the developers show up in an interview or whenever we see some sort of a gameplay trailer, that we're seeing things that we have not seen before. And yes, you don't want to give out too much in your video game, but at the same time, your video game has already given too much of a wait time or a lag time because, you didn't necessarily plan for that, but it is what it is. So I'll be keeping an eye out, and I'm sure many of you in the community will also be doing the same. And hopefully we get to see Robin. Like I said, he is the missing piece right now in all of this. And I hope they don't delay him to the last, I would say maybe character reveal or whatever it is. I hope they do all the character reveals within maybe just weeks of each other rather than months, and then do something of an overall showcase. And then finally provide a demo. this game is going to benefit from a demo. I've said it and I've argued it before, and many people have said, the demo might take time to, put together. And I'm like, yes, but think about your almost 2-year delay in releasing this game. You really need extraordinary measures to be able to sell this bad boy in the face of all these other games that are just sitting around it. So talk to me in the comment section. I really would love to hear you guys' thoughts. Thank you so much for watching the video. I appreciate you guys a lot, and we'll talk soon. Peace out.